Welcome back to the FNAF Redesign series. I know, another one? Well, the thing is, I've started work on another longer video project about a certain fan-made sequel to Half-Life 2, and that's probably going to take a few months or maybe years to complete. The script for the fucking thing is 51 pages. But until then, I might as well give this Redesign series a third entry, unlike the Half-Life franchise. But I know by the third entry, this shtick's kind of becoming stale. So to keep things fresh, I'm going to give this episode its own little mini-challenge. Because I'll be drawing the missing Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. Now, you may be asking what a missing animatronic is. Well, it's a bit complicated. Let me answer your question with another question. How many FNAF animatronics exist? How many total are there in the entire franchise? There are technically two answers. If you were to count everything from the different cupcakes, individual security breach staff bots, the skins from Augmented Reality Special Delivery, the fanverse characters, the book-only characters, and literal garbage, you'd get somewhere around, and I'm not joking, 200. Actually 200. But that's the more literal checking a Wikipedia list answer to the question. If you were to ask me, I'd tell you there's only 24 animatronics in the franchise. 35 if you count the mediocre melodies and the Trash in the Gang from Pizzeria Simulator. And note that's with me combining a lot of characters, like how Spring Bonnie and Springtrap are basically the same character, and all the different gender swap variants. And every other character in the franchise are adjective variants of these ones. These core animatronics, if you will. So there's obviously Normal Freddy, but there's also Golden Freddy, Withered Freddy, Phantom Freddy, Shadow Freddy, Toy Freddy. You get the picture. I'm not going to go through all the different adjectives that this franchise uses. The reason I bring it up is that not all adjectives are used equally. Some adjectives are used a bunch, like toy and fun time, and others are only used once, like molten, scrap, and grim. And that disparity is something I want to take a look at in this video. There's no Jacko Freddy, there's no Golden Foxy, there's no Withered Balloon Boy, despite what Funko merchandise thinks. And I understand that there are probably a lot of lore reasons why this is the case. But at the same time, I think this is a fun challenge. Creating animatronic combinations that you never see in the series proper. So let's get to the first request. The first missing animatronic request I have here is to un-Rockstar the Rockstar animatronics. That's pretty interesting because if you're familiar with Security Breach, you'll know that they introduced two new characters, Montgomery Gator and Roxanne Wolf. These two are Glamrock animatronics, but unlike Freddy or Chica, they were introduced as Glamrock animatronics, meaning we never got to see their normal unglammed form. Let's dissect both of their designs. Starting first with Roxy. She actually did have an appearance in a game before Security Breach, but it wasn't a mainline game. It was the fundraiser shitpost extravaganza named Freddy in Space 2. She appeared in a teaser for the game, and this is the closest thing we have to an unglamrocked version of Roxy. We can see that both designs keep some design aspects, mainly the starburst pattern on her chest, the makeup, and the green accents in her hair. But I think the green actually looks a lot better in the 2D artwork. In the main game itself, the green is this distracting stripe that makes her hair look completely cluttered. They really should have just made it purple, it would have been less distracting. Weirdly enough, Monty has this same issue, but in reverse. His mohawk is red, which would normally be fine, but it completely contrasts with all the purple accents he has across his body. Making the mohawk purple would look kind of stupid, so I think you should just change all the purple to red. Oh yeah, Monty. He never appeared in a FNAF game before Security Breach. I mean, he did appear in his promotional game called Fury's Rage, and he has a different design in that. I actually like this design better. The purple pants kind of reminded me of the Hulk, which, you know, personality-wise, that lines up more with Monty. But with that out of the way, what would my version of an unglamrocked Monty and Roxy look like? For Monty and Roxy's designs, I wanted them to look more the part of a late 90s kind of grungier look. Something more alternative and edgy. Roxy, I gave her this kind of red and black jacket, kind of inspired by her mural in the Roxy Raceway area. I kept her t-shirt design with that little starburst on it, because I feel like that's a bit inseparable from the design, and I think it looks good, so I wanted to incorporate it here. And with the late 90s aesthetic, I decided to give her Jinko jeans with a chain on them, because, hey, edge. And speaking of pants, Monty has his purple pants from Fury's Rage, but that's kind of it for him. Five Nights at Freddy's characters kind of go off of Sonic rules where girls have full outfits and boys kind of have just a few accessories. But to keep his design from being completely boring, I decided to give him a red scarf and a purple anchor tattoo. He also has bruises on his face. He has a little band-aid on his nose because he's a tough little guy. And that's not eyeshadow, the purple is actually black eyes. He just has two of them. So yeah, I'm really proud of how these two designs came out, and I don't think I mentioned it before, but I decided to do these two together because I see Monty and Roxy as more a pair than anything else. Maybe that's just because they were introduced in the same game, or introduced properly anyway. But to me, they always had this kind of more bebop and rocksteady kind of appeal to them. I don't know, they just pair well together in my mind, so I made their designs with the intention of them being side by side. So you'll see a little aesthetic similarities like Monty's spiked belt and how that contrasts with Roxy's spiked collar, and how Roxy has one fang and Monty has a full set. Yeah, it's just little similarities and differences that I think make them kind of converge a little better. But with them out of the way, let's get to the next set of animatronic redesigns I got. They may or may not also be a duo. Alright, time to talk about the next character on the chopping block. Or should I say, the scooping room. Because we're talking about Ennard from Sister Location. They're an interesting animatronic because their only visible feature, outside of a gangly mess of endoskeleton parts, is this white mask that they pulled off the wall. The endoskeleton itself is actually just a combination of every other animatronic in Sister Location, so that begs the question, who did that original mask belong to? What character was that mask for? Well, obviously that's who I'm here to draw. It would obviously have to be a clown character like Ballora or Baby. You know, clowns. There obviously need to be more clowns. But I think this clown needs a distinction from the others. Ballora is a dancing clown, and Baby gives out ice cream. But what about the most iconic kind of clown? A stunt clown. One that puts themselves in mortal danger to please a crowd. Yeah, why don't I make this version of Ennard, or I guess Ennard's previous identity, a tightrope unicycling clown. It may be a generic occupation for a clown, but you know, what circus is complete without one? Design-wise, his biggest inspiration was probably the basement clown from the Creative Engineering Incorporated factory, which I've talked about before, but I cannot get that out of my head that is real. Initially, I didn't want to make him a cyclist clown, I wanted to make him a jack-in-the-box, but it's a little too generic, and I feel like it's also curbing on the puppet shtick a little, so I went with this instead. But it's just a fun little callback to that old idea. I had his ear be on a spring and just launching out like a jack-in-the-box, which I think is fun and cute, and it gives him more of a toyetic look, almost. And yeah, this was supposed to be a toy animatronic, but I really just kind of used that moniker as an excuse to give him a lighter color scheme, and also so that he could have those iconic Five Nights at Freddy's black void eyes with white pupils. I wanted to give this design, though, specifically because I feel like it makes the color palette in his face region a little more palatable. Otherwise, there would have just been too many colors in one consolidated area. Well, that design was simple enough. Let's change our backgrounds and transition to the next design. Oh wait, the next design is also from Sister Location. I've gotten back-to-back requests to redesign Circus Baby. And I see why you'd want me to redesign them, because their design sucks. I mean, all the fun times suck. I think their designs are so bad that I came up with a joke headcanon to justify it. Between the two founders of Fazbear Entertainment, William Afton and Henry Emily, the fun times were entirely designed by William. Which is why I believe that Henry was the actual character designer between the two of them, and William just did the taxes or something, because there's no way the same person who designed this also designed this. Ballora was the worst of the bunch, but Baby isn't too much better. Her design is just cluttered and confused. I guess her main gimmick is that she can make ice cream, and that's dumb for several reasons. But okay, let's say, yeah, her thing is ice cream. It doesn't really visually show that. Like, the most lore important thing she does is give someone a piece of ice cream. So I feel like her design should reflect that a little bit more. So here's the Circus Baby redesign. I obviously went full in on that ice cream aesthetic. She has a little ice cream cone top hat and straws in her hair, blue and orange sprinkles in her hair. I went hard with the blue and orange color scheme. I thought it was fun having both the bow tie and gloves being mismatched orange and blue. Her apron actually has orange stains on it because it's supposed to look like caramel ice cream. There's a specific kind of caramel ice cream where you decorate it to look like a clown, and that was obviously a big inspiration for this design. And instead of any of the ice cream making components being inside her chest, I have her wearing a freezer on her back. It's got little pictures of FNAF themed popsicles on the side like an ice cream truck. It doesn't have wheels, but her feet do. Yeah, I gave her roller skates, which is something that her design in Pizzeria Simulator has, which I didn't understand, but I want to perhaps justify it here. You know, maybe she has them because she's like, I don't know, some sort of Sonic fast food employee that gives out ice cream. And the ice cream she is holding right there is designed basically to look like the one from the 8-bit minigame Sister Location. With Ennard, Circus Baby, and my Ballora redesign from the first video, we finally rounded out the weird Sister Location human redesigns. In the end, I just wanted these ones to be fun and unique. I wasn't even really going for scary since, well, if you do a good clown design, then people who are afraid of clowns are just automatically scared. I'm not, but I don't shame anyone who thinks they are scary. But you know what is scary, no matter who you are? The next design we're going to be taking a look at. Out of all the missing animatronics people wanted to see, none were more requested than a nightmare variant of Springtrap. It makes perfect sense. Both Springtrap and the Nightmare animatronics have a muted color palette and holes throughout their body. However, this idea is a lot harder because, unlike the other 4 designs I've done previously, there's no canon precedent for what a Nightmare version of Springtrap would look like. The closest thing we have is Plushtrap, and he's a funny little dude, so that's definitely not what we want to go for a Springtrap redesign. I also tried looking through Funko's action figure line thinking, hey, sometimes they make versions of animatronics that just don't exist, so maybe they made a Nightmare Springtrap at some point. Nope, there's no official Nightmare Springtrap figure. Well, keyword, official. Yeah, I went through a phase where I collected bootleg action figures, and one of them just so happened to be a Nightmare, or I guess they're Twisted Springtrap. He's a strange bootleg figure because he almost looks official, I mean compared to the rest of Funko's line, but there are just some obvious things that give it away. He has a big porous button on the back that would allow you to turn on his chest light, which, yeah, chest lights are kind of a thing with bootleg figures, but this guy doesn't even have a hole in the front for that thing to emit from, so it's kind of worthless. Also, I kept his packaging, and it's rife with, you guessed it, stolen fan art. He can also only move his arms with his legs being on a little pivot. But other than that, he looks pretty okay. His painting and sculpting isn't too bad for a bootleg, and he even has this cool gimmick where you can take off his mask to reveal William Afton's face underneath. That looks like shit. Yeah, this figure has cool ideas, but really bad execution. Which is why I think makes him the perfect choice as inspiration for a redesign. Here he is, the anticipated Nightmare Springtrap redesign. There have been a lot of fan-made redesigns for Nightmare Springtrap, but I feel like what they're missing is what makes him really scary, and that's the fact that there's a person inside there. he's not just an animatronic, he has a human being's corpse in him. So I obviously had to emphasize that with this design. He obviously has a normal human skeleton as opposed to the metal endoskeleton of an animatronic. And he has his mouth wide open to reveal William Afton's mummified head. It does look a little bit silly, admittedly, just giving him this big chomping mouth, but I think it's worth it to convey the effect of having a mutilated corpse look back at the viewer. I encased it in shadows to make it look not as obvious, but it's supposed to look kinda like the purple guy's 8-bit minigame sprite, although I tried to keep it as realistic as possible. I was gonna have it be a skull, but that looked a little too goofy. It would have matched up better with the skeleton body, which I like the skeleton body, that's just fun. And with all the wires poking out, actually the wires, that's directly from the figure. I thought the colors and placement of them were really good. It kind of prevented it from being just this big yellow blob. But I did include 2 blue wires near the eyes that kind of look like tears. Ooh, it's a guilt metaphor. Oh, symbolism. And it's just a fun little detail. Since Fredbear has a mouth on his chest, I thought to contrast that Springtrap should have an eyeball in his chest. So where his button would normally be, yeah, that's just another eyeball. I feel like that detail would look a little better on a 3D model than a 2D illustration, but it's a cool, just thematic touch. Wait, I almost forgot something.
When the sun is blazing and the summer gets hot, Water Country's a very cool spot. There's no better place to feel and be young. Water Country, have some fun.
Plunge into Dr. Von Dark's Tunnel of Terror, coming soon. Now get a season pass just $59.99 and get a Bring a Friend Day free. Hurry before the price goes up.
Water Country, Water Country, Water Country. Have some fun.
Open daily.
Sorry to undercut the touching moment, but I gotta stick to my laurels. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you're willing to stick around for more of my shenanigans. I've got some big and small projects in mind, so until then, prepare for unforeseen consequences.